As college football fans, every Saturday is just a great day in the fall. And we get to watch great college football teams from afar as fans. It's rare that you get an opportunity to talk to somebody who was actually on the field and can give you an inside perspective on a particular team. And that's what Donovan Gibbs is going to do for us. He plays at Long Island University. This Saturday, they travel to Florida to play the Gators in Gainesville. So, without further ado, Donovan, what's your take? How good is Florida? What was your experience like? What are your thoughts?
Before I get into the game, I will say that traveling down there and just walking through the stadium on Friday, which was the first thing we did once we got off the flight, it felt amazing. Being in the stadium, being able to just tour the facility a little bit, seeing where we were going to be, seeing just how all the empty seats were, and just visualizing how full they were going to get in 24 hours later on for Saturday's game. Seeing that ESPN is going to be covering the game, another game where we get to play on ESPN, was just a blessing because a lot of, especially FCS schools at that, they don't really get, I would say, ESPN coverage. Most of the time, whenever those games are streamed on ESPN Plus, they're streamed through their conference's streaming service. So being able to have a direct ESPN broadcast game, which would be my fourth in my 4 seasons here, it just shows a lot just how the program is building just in general for the Long Island University Sharks, and what our head coach Ron Cooper has been able to set down as a foundation over these last 3 to 4 years, and just getting us recognized, because we have players that can play at all sorts of levels, as we just talked about in regards to just Rutgers, Eric O'Neill, who transferred from Long Island University to James Madison, then to James Madison to Rutgers, Devon Wells, who was a player who was one of my favorite teammates when he was here, and he ended up playing at ULM last season. Another Avion Smith Mag, who currently plays for Sam Houston State as one of their starting receivers. We produce talent at this level, at this program, so it was good to be able to not only give us another chance of exposure to the bright lights, and just for first time a lot of these players getting to experience the SEC environment. I was seeing how it was throughout the entire week, rather how they viewed us on social media, doing a comparison of our team photos together, comparing the talent that we have on this team compared to the talent on their team. Fans of theirs trying to say DJ shouldn't start, Caleb shouldn't start, Jaden Ball shouldn't start, and just being able to get to the stadium, running through the tunnel right before the game started, hearing the boos, because I'm a huge wrestling guy. So I always portray myself as a heel, and the one thing about being a heel, boos mean cheers. So it felt great to go in there getting booed, telling them to raise the boos, and all of that. Seeing a lot of former friends that played at my school who pulled up to the game, and just being able to see all just the entire atmosphere, whether it's how they intro the Florida players walking through the tunnel, seeing the players touch the gator on the jumbotron out there after touchdown, seeing the fireworks, the fourth quarter, the beginning of the fourth quarter, where they played their I think their fight song, and then they played "Don't Back Down" by Tom Petty. The crowd noise on the first drive, it felt like everything like college players, things that people like me, or just in general a lot of athletes see growing up on their TV, watching with their families. For me, it was some Saturday night 8 p.m. games on CBS on SEC. Yes, I am that old. So seeing all that just in person, and just being able to just see the crowd playing against a lot of, in just in general, preparing against a lot of players that are going to be draft picks either this year or years down the line. I know DJ Lagway is going to be a potential top 15 pick when it's all said and done around 2027, 2028. So it felt amazing. It felt like something that you would experience out of like an NCAA Road to Glory. And just playing against them, I would say Florida's offense looked nice. Watching them go down the field on a lot of their drives, they do have a good running game with Jaden Ball. DJ Lagway did show some promise. He did have a really efficient game against us, and in general, I will say their defense did hold up. Their defense is fast, but it's the SEC. That's the type of speed that all these teams play with, and just the only thing that we've been looking at on tape, just especially just like yesterday and the day before, um, it's just Florida is going to have some issues in regards to their run game. We just watched the tape earlier this morning, and just there was a lot of plays where we had triple option set up. The dive looked like it was going to. The dive looked very effective, and teams that do run option schemes, whether it's like a Texas A&M, South Carolina with Lenore Sellers, LSU, and their power read scheme that they run at their school. Texas with how they have their two-back system, Alabama, Georgia, who are known for running the football. They in that mid front that they do run, they're going to have issues with the dive on inside zone, and I will say, in just regards to certain formations, they're going to have a lot of trouble with unbalance this year, like they did last year. Because playing against them, we were game planning to use unbalance for a lot of sections of the game, whether it's having all of our tight ends on one side of the field, whether it's us doing two tight end. Just in general, we were planning to use a lot of just two tight end sets because they bring in an extra player that's a nickel basically, but he isn't really a nickel.
Yeah.
But he's in that nickel position. So seeing how they react to a lot of those formations and just how they react to a lot of just emotion in general and just what type of players they want to have playing the run or leaving the box and playing the pass, those are things that SEC teams will be able to pick up on. And that's why after I saw an article on this today, I just like after the win against us, Coach Napier said there is a lot to clean up. And I 100% agree with him on that.
Yeah, it's funny. You wouldn't expect that, from a major win. But two things come to mind. First off, you said you liked being the heel. Do you think those were the loudest boos that you've ever heard, at least directed towards you and your team?
100%. And we played at we played at Baylor 2 years ago. We played at TCU last year, and both of those did not compare to what we experienced in Florida throughout. Yeah. How all the sororities and fraternities were in on it, making fun of trash talking us before the game, all the head games that they were doing with their fans on social media. The SEC is a very passionate conference, and it feels like the closest thing to what NFL fans are in college football.
Yeah, makes sense. And also, firsthand experience. What do you think? Also, because like watching tape from week one, what do you think is the difference from a team like Florida and a team like Rutgers in terms of not just how they play, but why are they dominant?
Everything. I would say because not just the people that they pick up, because you can get talent all over the U.S. We've seen it countless times with countless teams. Just for example, I would say like not even just last year, 2 years ago, with how the University of Washington was set up with Michael Penix Jr., Rome Odunze, Jalen McMillan, their offensive line, which was highly touted as well. Florida has not only just a really great pipeline, they're in one of the best football states in general in the country. They also have a really strong culture, and they feel confident in DJ Lagway more and more, and the team builds around it. And just the stars that they have on defense now, it doesn't really feel like a hindrance. Last year, they had big Desmond Watson, 421 in the A gap. They couldn't really do that much with him on the defensive side of things in regards to certain schemes, certain stemming of the D line to create different sort of gap filling opportunities for the linebackers because he was just so big and he's slow laterally. Now they replaced that with Caleb Banks, Jamari Lyons, who's coming back for his first year since his injury in 2024. Tyreek Sapp, seeing him playing against him, you can see why he's Warren Sapp's child, and he has a very high motor. And just in general, their pass rush and just their front sevens is what very, very much differentiates a Big Ten team and the SEC team. The speed that they play with on the defensive side, the way that their corners and overall their secondary, especially their safeties, are able to fit the run really fast and just turn a potential 14-yard play into a 5-yard play at best. That type of speed and that type of just processing is not only just taught but coached at an extremely high level. Billy Napier is getting the best out of his guys. Not saying that Greg Schiano isn't doing that as well. He does have a really good defense that's on paper. It just needs to formulate a little bit more after what I saw with Ohio, but I have more notes on that later.
Yeah.
But I would say overall what differentiates these two conferences and just these two teams is just the culture, the way that everybody, even the fans are extremely committed. It's not just people who go to the school. It's people that live near the school or just are in the area of the school, people that never went to college that I saw in there that are UF fans. You don't really see that in areas in regarding to just Rutgers or let's say Penn State or let's say as well schools, mid-tier schools in the Big Ten like Iowa or Minnesota and Maryland and stuff like that. So I would say that's really what differentiates it for me.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Florida, I actually interviewed for a job at the University of Florida a few years ago and got to go to the stadium. And outside the stadium, there's a plaque. It is called The Promise. And if anybody remembers Tim Tebow and The Promise, it was a little speech he gave after they lost to Ole Miss, I don't know how many years ago, in which he really showed the commitment that he had to the team, and the Gators went on to win the national title. So, Donovan, one thing I would ask you is, when we talk about Florida, what did you see on the field in terms of the talent disparity? Were you guys incredibly impressed, or we were like, these guys might be a little bit better, but we can still compete with them? What was your impression?
I will say that because for the most part, despite what the scoreboard tells you, watching the tape and just being on the field, it felt like for the most part we beat ourselves more than they beat us. A lot of their points came off of offensive turnovers. A lot of our drives were stopped, or a lot of our drives stalled out because we ended up getting off schedule due to pre-snap penalties, a lot of third downs that they could have gotten off the field, or a lot of their chunk plays pretty much happened after defensive penalties after a pass play, whether it's a defensive holding or a defensive pass interference or a face mask that happened on one of their runs earlier in the game. Because for the most part, that first drive up until that fumble, we were moving the ball. Yeah, we started off. Our first play was a 6-yard gain. Second play, another 5-yard gain. Those things build up over time as long as you don't beat yourself. And the next drive after that, we were able to get another 4-yard gain. And then we ended up getting a penalty that brought us back 5 yards. So it's just, you got to be able to stay on schedule with these teams because they're the same as us. The only thing that's different is just they lived in a different area and they got a different logo on their helmet.
Yeah, I mean, those things they're frustrating, but it's also optimistic frustration because you can change those. One bold take I have is that this year, at least, Ethan will have the better year than DJ Lagway. I don't know about the rest of the team, but I think Ethan will have the better year.
No.
Did you see this game?
No. I can see how Florida's offense compared to like Rutgers' offense. I can see it due to just how Ethan's going to be playing a much bigger role in this offense this year, as they're really going to be more focused on the pass. Not saying that the running game isn't there. It's starting to get effective. They do have two good running backs with true sophomore Aiden I have his name right here.
Antoine?
Yeah, Antoine Raymond, and there's FAU transfer senior CJ Campbell Jr. They got two really good running backs there, but Florida is going to be more reliant, I would say, on Jaden Ball, because Jaden Ball definitely showed out against us. He was the speed and power that he had is very impressive, and I really see that taking a lot of advantage and taking a lot of the pressure off of DJ Lagway, because we've seen time and time again, especially against SEC competition, that if DJ throws the ball a lot, certain situations, he'll put you in really good situations, but when it gets bad, it gets bad. I truly remember last year's game against Tennessee that he came in the middle of the game after his really good first start against Sanford a week before. And then the rest of the season at that, which he did have some hot streaks. He did look good against Ole Miss, but I will say having that running game helps them out 10 times more. And I can truly believe with just what Rutgers has with their three-headed monster at wide receiver.
Yeah, big three.
Ethan is going to take full-on advantage of that,
yeah,
especially against the schedule that they're playing against.
I mean, to be fair, like we were saying all off season, Jason, I know you're in the chat, you included, and it's only been one game that our running game was still going to be our identity. And we do have two solid running backs, 2.5, because, Benjamin in limited snaps still got 17 yards on 3 carries. But Ethan really, that was probably his best, most efficient game, at least, as a Scarlet Knight, especially when you're against a team like Ohio, who many people coming into the night were like, what's special about Ohio? They still won their conference.
Ohio's a really good team.
Yeah, you can't control your schedule. Like, they did what they could with their schedule. They won 7 in a row to end the year. And it was close. We only had 3 points in the second half, but that's because I believe we were time managing instead of trying to win and not lose. All right. So I think Ethan will have a great year.
Yeah, so we love Ethan Kaliakmanis. Yeah, he had one of the best games of his career, no question. And I think he is going to have a great year. However, I would be a bit cautious about saying he's going to have a better year than DJ Lagway.
I think DJ Lagway, you know what I saw against LIU? I saw nothing special.
Because he hasn't played very much. He was injured. But
he did, yeah.
But, Gabe, maybe you're right, and maybe I'm wrong. But I think Ethan's a very different kind of quarterback, and I think it's almost not comparable. I just think that Lagway is going to I think his ceiling is higher. No offense to Ethan, because Ethan, he had a great start to the season, and he's a great team player, and he's got all the tools, and he couldn't get drafted. So,
to me, you know who Ethan reminds me of? I know I gave him the Tua comp pretty much all offseason, but after 1 week, I think he kind of plays like how Justin Herbert plays.
Interesting.
I see it because he can be mobile, but he's really more of a pocket passer, and he really felt comfortable moving around the pocket. I will say the biggest thing, whether the most impressive group that I saw on Thursday night against Ohio was 100% their offensive line. Even though they gave up a sack later on in the game, that offensive line, whether it was a 4th and 1, a 4th and 2, or a 4th and 3, they went 5 for 5 on 4th down, and that really happens just because of their offensive line. And I will say, Gus Alinkas, he has the troops rallied, and I really like what this offensive line is going to be looking like for this year, because their offensive line and just overall their efficiency on 4th down is going to be important, especially due to they play against Ohio State and Penn State at the end of the year, and seeing how Ohio State was against Texas on 4th down, it's going to be a huge battle in the trenches coming in.
Yeah, Zelinskas is a worthy captain for sure.
Yeah, I think when I think of Ethan, if I had to compare him in terms of quarterbacks, I don't know if you all remember Jake Coker from Alabama.
Yeah, very vaguely, but yeah.
2015, and I think his ceiling is kind of like a Mac Jones. I think he's a great he has the potential to be a great pocket passer, read defense as well. But what I'm going to be looking for as the season progresses is how is he doing when he's under duress. What's his decision-making like? But I think he had a great start to the season.
Bad week to compare anyone to Bama, though.
What?
Bad week to compare people to Bama, though.
Yeah, I actually went to Alabama. I got a master's degree from Alabama, and I got to tell you, that performance was not Alabama. Nick Saban.
That's the new Alabama.
Yeah, that's the before Alabama.
Now, Kellen DeBoer is a great coach, but the question is he a good fit for Alabama? He's got to change that culture. They've got to have that hunger and that toughness that they had, under Saban, because Florida State pushed them around, and it was really embarrassing.
Going back last week. I think or not last week. Our post game reaction, Adam. I think that you said that you could quote run for 40 or 50 yards with this offensive line.
Referring to which one, Rutgers?
Yeah.
Yeah. So last week, the bright spot for Rutgers was, of course, Athan, Antoine, CJ ran for 70 yards. But that offense, and the receivers, of course, DT, Ian, but that offensive line was fantastic. And that, when you win in the trenches, every single game comes down to the trenches. If you control the trenches, you're going to win the game. They controlled the trenches on offense, and those holes were so big, I could have run. I would have had like 8 carries for like 31 yards. I'm telling you. I would have broken down.
That's a first down. If you keep running at that pace, that's a first down every time.
Yeah, and I probably run
8 carries, 31 yards. That's near 4 yards a carry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I would get hit and end up in the hospital. But that's another issue.